Welcome, friends. I'm so glad you're going to join me as we start going through the book series, War of the Ages by Sally Pierson Dillon. Now, you're currently here with me on Book 1, Survivors of the Dark Rebellion, which begins the Old Testament portion of this 5-book series. And here in February 2021, I'm still actively recording Book 1, which means you'll have to wait each Saturday morning for the next chapter to drop. But last year in 2020, I started in Book 3, and Books 3, 4, and 5 are already complete. Those are the New Testament books, as well as the book that takes you all the way up through modern history. So if you want to jump ahead, if the one chapter a week mode of Book 1 is too slow for you and you want to listen to more, you are welcome to jump forward past Book 2, which is not recorded yet, The Exile of the Chosen, and straight on into Victory of the Warrior King. This book covers the life of Jesus here on earth, and you can access it directly by either going to my homepage and looking for the playlist there, or by following the address that I've put on the screen here in front of you. If you want to go past Victory of the Warrior King into Book 4, that is Champions of the King, which covers the book of Acts, and that one can be found again on my homepage or at the website that I'm putting on the screen right now. And lastly, if you want to jump way forward in time, all the way up to the time periods of the Dark Ages and the Reformation, modern history, all the way to the second coming of Jesus, then you'll want to jump to War of the Invisibles. That one is also available on my homepage or by following the address that is here on the screen for you. Books 3 to 5 are pretty much independent of each other, although there are some characters that carry over from Book 3 into Book 4, so you may want to listen to those two books back to back. But I'm so glad you're joining me as we start going into Book 1. I hope that you'll listen, that you'll comment, that you'll tell your friends about it, that you'll subscribe to the page so that you can get notified as new chapters drop. And I look forward to sharing this wonderful story with you, friends. Oh, and one more thing. Be sure to stay tuned all the way through the end of the story and after the end credits so that you can find out about my free book ministry, rxf1888.com. There's books there for kids as well as adults. I think you'll find them wonderful as well, and I hope you'll request some from me. God bless. My name is Mark, a recording angel. I've been observing this earth since the dawn of creation. The Most High has asked me to share my recordings with you. The following are my records of Earth's earliest patriarchs and prophets, collected in this book, Survivors of the Dark Rebellion, God's Heroes from Adam to David. If today's recording contains situations which might be uncomfortable for younger listeners, I will mark the video with the words Parental Guidance Recommended.
Chapter 1. Mark. This is a time of great secrets, and I am almost bursting with mine. The Son of the Mighty One met with me earlier and told me of many changes coming to my life. He said my human name would be Mark. What's a human? That was not one of the secrets he shared with me, except that sometime later he will call me by that title. My role is going to change too. Until now, I have just been part of the group of angels who tended the heavenly gardens, and of course I was part of the mass choir. The high point of our existence has been when we all sing under our high commander Lucifer's direction and find new harmonies and new and exciting ways to praise the Mighty One. Now I am to be an invisible watcher and will record what I observe. I'm not sure why this is important. Invisible to whom? The Mighty One explained to me that humans, once they come into being, might not be able to see me unless I specifically materialize to be visible in the part of the light spectrum that their vision registers. I guess I'll have to see a human really to understand this, but I am to start keeping records now. The Mighty One taught me the heavenly record-keeping system we are to use, with all of its complicated cross-referencing and archiving. Then he will have me start extracting from it various segments to make a short and readable record for humans. He said that later it would be very helpful to them. So humans, whatever and whoever you are, I am starting this record for you. Perhaps both of us will understand better what the Mighty One has planned as these secrets unfold. In the meantime, it's very exciting. My record-keeping system has more aspects than I understand right now. One whole section is called Forgiveness and Atonement. The Son of the Almighty gave me a brief explanation, but he said that it was something I will learn about more fully later. He explained that it involved transferring records to a central place, and then in atonement they would be wiped out completely. When I couldn't understand it, the Son of the Most High just laughed melodiously and said that it was a beautiful component, but that hopefully I would not have to use it any time in the future. Later, I asked Lucifer about it, hoping that perhaps he could give me a little more information. He just frowned and said that he didn't think it was fair that we received tasks to do and equipment to use that we weren't given full explanations for. His reaction shocked me, and I had to think about it for a few minutes. What surprised me the most was not that the Mighty One would not give me a full explanation, for there are probably many things in his mind that he has not revealed to us, but that Lucifer did not know the answer, and seemed to be disturbed by the fact. Perhaps the Mighty One was planning more briefings for our Commander-in-Chief, so that he would understand all of the components of the systems he had placed his underlings in charge of. As a record-keeper, the Son of the Mighty One told me, I would have access to all of the other angel groups involved. It is his big project, and yet he's letting each of us have a part in the plan. I feel greatly honored. It makes me want to just fly pirouettes about him and shout my gratitude in songs of worship. But then I caught Lucifer's eye. Something odd is going on here, but I don't know what it is. Perhaps I will find out if I continue my investigation. I went to visit my friends working on the Light Project. The Son of the Almighty helped them simulate a nitrogenous atmosphere with specific proportions of oxygen and carbon dioxide and other such elements, and then they experimented with different wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum shining through it. They will be selecting the wavelengths to use on this new project. My friends don't know whether to think of themselves as scientists or artists. They're working on developing the very structures of the new environment the Sun is going to create. He will do the actual creating, but he's allowing them to see the kinds of things he will have to bring into existence to make his plan complete. We all felt much laughter and excitement as I talked with each friend and recorded their findings. However, as Lucifer came through, he seemed less enthusiastic. When I asked him about it, he just shrugged and said that as the Angel of Light, he felt the Sun was not using the appropriate chain of command, since light was specifically his department. Those of us who heard his comment just stared at him open-mouthed. Everything he said was true, but the Sun had a right to be in charge of any creative project he wanted to. I didn't understand Lucifer's problem, but then politics is not my strong area. I am a recorder, so I guess I will start watching and recording, and try to figure out why he is less excited about this project than all the rest of us. My botanist friends were having a wonderful time. The Sun had visited them, and given them a wide range of not only atmospheric conditions, but temperatures and ranges in humidity for them to work with. They were drawing up plans for different botany life forms that could thrive in each area. Angels helped with the plans for the life forms, too. Although the Sun could have thought up every detail of what he intended to create, and would bring them into actual existence, he let us, his servants, participate in the planning. He would announce the kind of thing he would make, then let us work out some of the characteristics it might have. Today, a group of angels were working on air-breathing creatures, each discussing the percentage of oxygen in the air, the atmospheric pressure, and the lungs that would be needed. Apparently, a lung is something inside of a life form that makes them able to absorb the oxygen into their bodies. The oxygen forms part of the chemical process that makes such creatures live. The angels estimated the total surface area it would take for enough oxygen to cross to sustain different sized life forms, and then figured out how to shrink that huge surface area down into something that would fit inside a small animal. The Sun could have designed it all by himself, but he wanted to allow us to think along with him. Of course, only he could do all the details and actually bring the various plants and animals to life. The angels working on the concept of breathing organs for the larger organisms came up with a concept that resembled the cluster of grapes that the botanists were thinking about, except of course this would be lung tissue, not plant tissue. It all looked fascinating to me. In another part of the botanist area, I found a genetics team at work. What they were doing was even harder for me to understand, but apparently the creatures in this new project, while they will be created from the hand of the Sun, just as my friends and I were, he is actually going to put within them the ability to recreate their own kind. And not just exact reproductions, but a whole range of variations that reflect the characteristics of the two parent creatures. The concept astounded me. We had seen nothing like this before. All of us had been individually handcrafted by the Son of the Most High himself. Lucifer shook his head. "It amazes me," he said, "that the Most High wants to give his creative power to these lower beings he's planning to make, and not just to the humans who apparently would be the smartest beings in the project. Every creature down to the lowliest crawling thing will share the ability. They'll be able to reproduce themselves without any assistance." "But surely," I interrupted, "surely they will know that all life comes from the Mighty One, and that without him giving life to each reproduction, it would just be lifeless matter." The covering cherub snorted. "I doubt if they'll be that bright." I felt confused. Lucifer was my supreme commander, and I loved him and respected him. Never before had I sensed even an inkling of dissent between him and the Mighty Ones. What was happening? Had it been there before, and I had just been unaware? Or was there something about the new project that upset him? Surely, even if he had questions, he would be supportive of the Mighty One's plan. It would not be the first time that we had not understood everything, and yet when the Mighty Ones completed their plans, they were always perfect. What was the problem? As I spoke to Ariel, he shared some of the concerns that Lucifer had mentioned to him. Was it really fair of God to ask us to help with some of the research for his new project and not explain what it was? How could we do adequate research without knowing? And was it really right for him to take our work and assume credit for it all when he put the finished product together and created what we had worked on together? "Of course it's fair," I laughed. "He's our God. The Mighty One has a huge master plan. We're only small parts of it, and all of us together do not know enough to completely design it. Least of all, make things live." Ariel looked at me and smiled. "That's true. I don't know what I was thinking. It's just when I talk to Lucifer, well, he seems so angry. And yet when I'm with him, everything he says makes sense, and it seems that he's only seeking to be treated fairly." I shook my head. The Mighty One has always been fair to us, so why would we suspect him of anything else now? Ariel nodded. "I don't always understand what he's doing," I continued, "but I love him and I trust him, and he has never ever given me reason not to." "Perhaps," Ariel suggested, "Lucifer is just feeling upset because the Mighty Ones are not including him in the plans for this new project." Thinking it over, I slowly nodded in agreement. "Should he be?" Ariel asked. "I mean, he is our commander-in-chief." I shrugged. "I don't know, but this is the Almighty One's universe, so if it is his choice to do the project with the Sun and the Spirit and not with Lucifer, I guess he has a right to decide that." "What is sad to me," Ariel whispered, "is that it is causing division among us. Many have become suspicious of the Mighty One. It gives me an anxious feeling. We've never had that here before. This has always been a place of harmony. I don't like it. I saw the Sun walking with Lucifer, talking intensely with him. I hope they work things out, because if they don't, I have a feeling something terrible will happen." Indeed, something terrible did happen. For a long time, Lucifer seemed undecided about what he should do. During our praise services, he would lead us in the most beautiful anthems to the Mighty One, and truly seemed to mean what he sang. And yet, his questions continued. The bitterness became overwhelming until finally the Mighty One had to summon him into the throne room and ask him to choose whether he would remain loyal to the three or persist in sowing dissension in heaven. When he refused to stop, war broke out in heaven, and the Mighty Ones had to expel all of Lucifer's followers. It was a time of great heartbreak. Even those of us who loved the Father with great passion felt too sad to sing, which was all right, for the Father was in tears too. How could this have happened? And what disaster would take place next? "Ariel," I asked, "do you think the Mighty One will destroy Lucifer?" The other angel shook his head. "No, I believe that if he was going to do that, it would have happened by now. Lucifer has accused him of being unfair and has said that he is not a good leader, and that he, Lucifer, would do a much better job. Perhaps the Mighty One is going to let him have an opportunity in some limited way to show us just what life would be like if Lucifer was in charge." That could be, I said, after considering it for a while. Our Mighty One is wise, for if he just destroyed Lucifer, we would never know for sure if Lucifer's claims were right or not. This way we will see exactly what happens, and in all fairness, he is giving Lucifer an opportunity to show us. Yes, but I feel so badly about all of this. I feel so torn between them. Lucifer was our commander, and I loved him, and I love the Almighty One too. Maybe, I suggested, if Lucifer does a good job wherever it is the Mighty One sends him, perhaps there can be some reconciliation between them later. Ariel raised an eyebrow. You really think so? He asked, then shook his head. None of us knew, but every one of us had had to make a choice of loyalties. I had chosen the Mighty One. Now we had to see how things turned out in the struggle that we began to call the Great Controversy.
This broadcast has come from the book Survivors of the Dark Rebellion by Sally Pierson Dillon, with permission from the Review and Herald Publishing Association. This book and the rest of the series, War of the Ages, can be purchased by going to www.adventistbookcenter.com or by calling 1-800-765-6955. I'm your narrator, Austin Backus, and this audio project is a gift to you from my free Christian book ministry, RXF 1888. Please visit our website, www.rxf1888.com, to request free Christian books for both kids and adults. And join us here again for more stories from Mark the Recording Angel.